It is Thanksgiving football weekend, arguably the best week in all of football for all of you football fanatics. We have the Thanksgiving slate that we're going to walk through. For those of you who do not know us, we are Statletics. We love walking through some of the big games, breaking them down, kind of talking through some of the numbers a little bit and trying to decipher who's going to win and how. We really rely on our model projections and the numbers that go into that. And so we have 3 games on Thanksgiving Day that we're going to walk through for this particular show. And then we're going to go through the Sunday slate on a separate show. But a lot to be excited for, not only in the NFL realm, but also in the college realm, just this weekend as a whole. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it's jam packed with rivalries, big games, and whatnot. But for this particular show, we're going to focus on NFL. 3 exciting games. Well, really 2. With one kind of stinker out there, but we're still going to talk about it nonetheless. Before we do that, Beach, man, how we doing?
Great, man. Best day of the year. Just 3 days away. And I'm really excited to eat and overindulge until I fall asleep at halftime of the first game.
Yeah, it's the Cowboys and Giants game is going to be prime time nap time. So I have
Yes,
that
sir.
really circled down. I'm sure it's going to be a snoozer for everybody. Um, but nonetheless, Thanksgiving games. First game we're going to talk about: Dolphins travel to the Packers. Packers are hosting a game again in Lambeau on Thanksgiving Day. They just routed the 49ers. Like, they did unspeakable things to a decent 49ers team. I don't really want to call them good. They're kind of falling apart a little bit, but still, nonetheless, impressive win by Jordan Love and company. Tua also had an impressive win. That seems like the offense is clicking. They're heading into Lambeau, and Tua wants to stomp all narratives here. It's a cold game. The temperature is around 30 degrees, probably going to be a little under 30 degrees. Excuse me. Tua has played in 40-degree temperatures or colder 4 times with the Dolphins. Miami is 0-4 straight up, and they're 1-3 against the spread, failing to cover the spread by an average of 18 points per game, or a sum of 18 points per game. So, not good for Tua, and he really does need to stomp this narrative because it's kind of seemingly true. Now, it could be special cases. I know the last one I think he played was against the Chiefs. He played another cold game against the Bills recently last year. But cold game, nonetheless. Dolphins are kind of seeming like they're getting hot, but this Packers team is a force to be reckoned with in this in the NFC. It's going to be an AFC NFC crossover. Before I get into any of the numbers, Beej, you like the Dolphins here to come into
I do.
Lambeau and win. I like the Packers. The model has it 23-19 in favor of the Packers, but the Packers are only 3.5-point favorites. Tell me why you like the Dolphins here.
Well, I'll start with the Packers. I call the 49ers decent even in overtime. I feel like, I mean,
I
they're just
disagree,
not
dude. I think the
this.
49ers are good. They just
Yeah,
had an unfortunate series of events with Brock Purdy, and their
yeah,
defense is a little bit
true.
leaky. They were missing Nick Bosa, and some of the gameplay last year or last week was just, you know, a lot happened in a little bit of time. So
Yeah,
core maybe not.
no, that is right. That is right. I did forget that Brock was not in that game, but I think the Packers are capable of beating anybody this year. I do think that it plays to their advantage being at home and it's being cold for 80-degree Tua come from Miami to get all the way up there. But I think the Dolphins are rolling recently. They've really found their groove since everyone has kind of gotten back healthy. Tua's been back, and I think that they will keep this one really close. I think they could win this game like in the NFL. Either team could win, but unless you're playing the Lions. But I really see this game more as a little bit closer than that, and so that's why I like the hook of the half also with 3.5. It's
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving. Dolphins defense has been playing pretty well, and I think if the Packers aren't able to run the ball, then the Dolphins are going to be able to kind of control more of the
Well,
game.
yeah, it's going to be
Close.
interesting here because the way that Green Bay runs their defense is they run predominantly zone coverage. They do run man coverage about 25% of their plays. That's just an aggregated number across the season. Um, I don't know what exactly they're going to do in anticipation of the, Tyreek, Waddle, and Jonnu combination here. So I anticipate they're going to go more zone. Um, But now that Devon Achane is heavily involved in the run game, heavily involved in the pass game, it's going to be a big game for him, I feel like. So they're going to have to really go into Lambeau, lean heavily into Achane in their running game. And then also with the gadget plays, I think they can kind of create out of that as well. But the cold narrative is going to be interesting to me because they're going to have to stretch the field with explosive plays eventually. And so they can't just dink and dunk. Maybe they can, but in theory, they can't just dink and dunk their way into winning this game. They're going to have to make explosive plays. And so we saw Jalen Waddle really, step his game up for this year. We always knew he was good, but this year he's had a down year. So it was nice to see him kind of come onto the scene. I really do like the Dolphins here. I like the way that they're playing right now. I like the way that their defense is playing right now. If you look at some of their numbers, it's pretty solid. 14th overall in EPA per play allowed, 5th overall in defensive success rate. Pretty solid numbers. They're really, really good in the passing game. They only allow 172 passing yards per game. So it's going to be a tougher test for Jordan Love than it was last week. Rushing game is kind of mediocre, middle of the pack in terms of NFL numbers, but I am going to have to ride with the home favorites here, dude. Now, as for the hook, 3.5 hook, not really sure, not really confident on any sort of spread here, but the model likes the Packers. I like the Packers in a primetime game at Lambeau Field, coming off of a tough win. It's chalky. And I think there's a lot of recency bias for this game where the Dolphins are, or the Packers are like a lot of people, a lot of the casual public is like, oh, Packers are going to kill the Dolphins. But it's, the Dolphins are back relevant again. So they're no longer that team we saw with Tyler Huntley and Skylar Thompson. It's not that same team. And so all of their stars are healthy. Their quarterback is healthy and their defense is progressively playing better. So it's going to be a tough fight, but I do like the Packers to win here. And then the Dolphins, I won't comment on the cover, but I think the Dolphins keep it close. So it's going to be a fun one. All right, guys, if you are watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe for us and comment your favorite Thanksgiving picks here. We love scanning the crowd for that information. It's always fun seeing what you guys conjure up in terms of picks. Also, the show is brought to you by Not Beer, American Sparkling Water. It's never a bad time to have a Not Beer. It's the perfect refreshment for any time of the year, and you can mix it with whatever you want, or you can drink it outright as itself as a sparkling water refreshment. So find the links in the comments to a store locator or on Amazon and have it shipped directly to your door. Not Beer, never a bad time. So, Beej, this next game, we're not really doing it in sequential order here, but Bears go to Detroit and play the machine, the Detroit Lions. It's at Detroit. It's at home in the Dome. It's going to be a tough test for Caleb Williams and company. Last week, we saw the Bears fall in overtime to the Minnesota Vikings. They clawed their way back from behind, somehow made it close, tied it up, and sent that game into overtime. But I saw some really good things from Caleb Williams, but there's a lot of things that I saw from just the Bears in general, the coaching staff. The play calling is better, but there's still just something wrong. It's one of those intangible things where you can kind of feel like there's a lack of a pulse there for our teams. Hey, Harley, you can see a little diaper back there.
She's in heat, everybody.
Friend of the show right there. But Bears, there's something going on. It's like one of those intangible things where it's like you don't really know exactly what's going on, but you can feel that it's just not the same. And then you flip it over to the Detroit Lions where it's like, everybody is wanting to play. Everybody's motivated. Everybody is, they're not soaking in one particular win. They're always on to the next. They're never satisfied. And so, excuse me, this is going to be a tough test for the Bears. I think a lot of people, were kind of surprised by the spread here. Lions minus 10.5, but I think it's kind of right on the nose here. Our model actually has this as a near 2 touchdown game, 29.5 to 17.5. So, Beej, after what you saw last week, and maybe not even using that as recency bias, Are you anywhat confident in the Bears to come in here and score points and pace with the Detroit Lions? Because I really have a hard time thinking that the Lions on Thanksgiving Day, albeit the Bears defense is pretty good, but I have a hard time thinking
Mhm.
the Lions will not put up points in prime time on Thanksgiving Day at home in the Dome. Do you think the Bears can keep up?
Yeah, I don't really at all. I'll start on the Lions side. They've played in. Have they played in every Thanksgiving game since it was created? The Lions
Mm-hmm.
and the Cowboys. They played in maybe every single Thanksgiving Day game, and they've lost a lot of those games. So the game's really special to that team who have a really great team this year, and they can just clobber the Bears. I think the reason the Bears will struggle to stop them is because the Lions can beat you in every single way. They can throw it to offensive linemen. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They
Yeah.
can do
So
everything.
you're saying you're
Uh,
not confident in it. You're not confident in Caleb Williams to do anything here. Okay.
no, I'm
Yeah,
not.
that's all we need. I mean, I think Caleb Williams will continue to make big plays, and it's just I don't think they can string together, a good enough sequence of events on the offensive side of the ball to pace with what the Detroit Lions are going to do here. And so,
Mhm.
like I said, the Packers or the Bears defense is really really solid. They're fifth overall in EPA per play. They're fourth overall in defensive success rate. But you pivot, you look at the Detroit offense and what they're doing. They're second overall in EPA per play, and they're third overall in offensive success rate. They're first overall in passing yards per attempt. They're fourth overall in rushing yards per game. I mean, it goes on and on. They're just top tier in every single thing that they do. And I think that this
Mhm.
Lions defense, which is an underrated unit as well, they're seventh overall in EPA per play allowed. They're pretty good at stopping the pass, and they're really good at stopping the run. They only allow 83 yards per game on the ground. I think they're going to really just create chaos for this Bears offense. And I think that the coaching on the Detroit Lions side heavily outweighs what's on the Bears side. Matt
Mhm.
Eberflus, I think, is going to be gone this year. He needs to be. I anticipate that this Bears team is really, really not satisfied with what the Bears have done this year. You look at what they have on the field, the superstars in the wide receiver core, a number one overall pick in Caleb Williams, a stud at running back, and a solid offensive line, all things considered, that has underperformed all year. I think it's time for him to go. And so going into this game, I know that they looked good against the Vikings, but it was a fluke comeback, in my opinion. And I think that the Lions are going to make an absolute statement on Thanksgiving Day and just beat the living breaks off of this Bears team.
Yeah, I think they would. Caleb Williams would have to single handedly win this game
Yeah.
because they're not going to be able to run the ball. I really don't believe that at all. They struggled to run last week. It's really hard to run against the Lions, and Caleb Williams will have to carry the full weight of the Bears franchise if they want to
Yeah.
win this game, and I don't think he can do that.
So my bull case for the Bears here, though, or my bear case for the Lions, no pun intended. So if they were to win this game or to even like make it a close game, there are two things that have to happen. The Bears defense, who has played really, really well, statistically, they're doing really, really solid on the year. They would have to consistently make plays against this Detroit offense, who is one of the most, no, they're the most explosive offense in the league, the Lions are. And so they have to limit the explosive plays to none if possible. And then on the contrary, you have to have Caleb Williams pretty much make sure he's distributing the ball to his playmakers, and those playmakers are making big plays. That's it. I really don't see a world in which, they're going to come in here and outwit the Detroit Lions. There's no way that the Bears come here and then scheme up a better game. I don't see that. It's going to be in the hands of Caleb Williams, and he's going to have to distribute the ball and do it well. And they're going to have to just generate a shit ton of explosive plays. And I just don't see that happening. But that is the case. The Bears defense coming in here ready to play, and then Caleb Williams and company making explosive plays in both the passing and the running game. So that's my bull case for the Bears. Tongue twist right there, but unlikely in my opinion.
I, I think the Bears would really have to, force two or more turnovers on the defensive side in order to kind of flip this game. Um,
Yeah.
I think that would, you know, if their defense played lights out and were able to kind of create plays that way, you talk about the explosive plays, but on the defensive side, I really think that they could
Mm-hmm.
hang, but I just
And
don't
we
see
saw
it.
the Lions do that one time this year against the Texans. Jared Goff threw 4 interceptions, yet they still won. They
They
still
won.
won. It's
I
like
know.
you can't even be confident necessarily that turnovers are going to be
Mm-mm.
the dictating force of this game because the Lions, they can overcome at any given moment. They just can generate explosive
Right.
plays on both sides of the football. So tough, tough sledding for the Bears here. I'm hoping it's an exciting game. I would love to experience that on Thanksgiving Day, but odds are unlikely. I'm riding with a model here. I like the Lions to win and to cover. BJ's on the same as well. So, all right, let's get to the shit game of the week. Thanksgiving Day, Giants at Cowboys. I got some fun numbers for you guys. The Cowboys are 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 Thanksgiving games. They are 2-11 against the spread in the last 13 Thanksgiving games that they've played. So the Lions just do not win on Thanksgiving Day. But if there was ever a time to do so, it would be this game. So, BJ, Giants, Cowboys, it's at home for the Cowboys. The Cowboys are about a 3.5, 4-point favorite here at home. It'll be backup quarterback versus backup quarterback. Tommy DeVito will get the draw again. We saw an impressive outing last week for the Cowboys. They did go into Washington and beat the Commanders in an absolutely electric game. That was
That was
just insane.
it
It
even
wasn't even good quality football. It was just insane. Like the series of events that occurred and sequentially at that last like 5 minutes of the game was absolutely nuts. We'll see if the Cowboys can, have the same stroke of luck here. But man, Giants almost feels like they're trying to lose. They're not even playing Drew Lock, who is probably better. He's not a good quarterback, but he's probably better than what they're trotting out there. And Tommy DeVito, I know there's a lot of Tommy DeVito freaks, especially those Giants fans who just love him. I don't get it. He's mid at best. He's
Zach.
yeah, it's just the show, I
That's
guess.
it.
But
The
I
show.
think that they're purposely playing him to ensure the tank. I think they want to lose games at this point to try and lock up, first, second, third pick. And what better way to do so than play the worst quarterback on your roster? So, BJ, I have the Cowboys winning. I have the Giants covering, but Cowboys winning. You have the Giants to win and to cover. So we have a little bit of a mix up here. I'm sure a lot of people watching this are going to be pretty appalled, pretty confused. But one thing we like to say here is we are Cowboy haters until further notice. We really shot on the Cowboys for 2 straight years now.
Forever.
Yeah, probably longer.
Forever.
Ever since they hired Mike McCarthy, it was game over for us. That was just the worst possible decision. Anyway, we're getting on a tangent here. So
We liked him with Kellen Moore.
yeah, I
That's
mean,
that
they
was
and then
fine.
when they fired Kellen Moore, it's just dumb.
Whatever.
So, anyways, Giants, Cowboys. Cowboys, the model has the Cowboys by 2.5 rather than 3.5, 4 points of what we're seeing with Vegas. That's kind of why I like the Giants to cover here, but the Cowboys still to win. I think there's going to be some recency bias coming off of that win last week against the Commanders for the Cowboys. They're going to be like, oh, they're going to beat the brakes off the Giants, and on the same side of that fence, the Giants, they got their ass whipped by the Bucks. The Bucks are an underrated offensive unit, and seemingly their defense played really well on Sunday as well. So I think recency bias for both sides here, for both teams. And so the Giants are still able to compete, and the Cowboys are still able to compete, but both teams are really on the same level down below. I don't want to say one is really above the other, but Beej, in a game against Tommy DeVito and Cooper Rush, you like Tommy DeVito here. What about the Giants do you like in this game, and how do you think they beat the Cowboys here at home?
Look, I just want to start with this is the toilet bowl of a generation. And, both backup quarterbacks, both teams bad. I'm going with the Giants here. I'm going with the Giants here.
Is that it? That's it. He's just going with the Giants here. All right.
Hold on. We're pausing now. Okay, I can read
it's okay. I mean, he's just going with the Giants. So
I don't have it specifically in either way, except for that both. I think the Giants' defensive line is very good, and the Cowboys are banged up on the Cowboys' offensive line is banged up on the other side. The Giants' offensive line is banged up, and they got Mark Parsons back. So I think this will be a crappy game. I think that it's going to be really difficult for offense to be made here. I like the spark of Tommy DeVito coming in here and upsetting the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. What we have.
Yeah, I mean, the argument that can be made here, and why I kind of like the Giants to keep this close, is their defense is horrible. It's certainly better than Dallas's. Just from every facet. Giants are 15th overall in EPA per play allowed on the defense side of the ball, 22nd overall in success rate allowed. If you look over to the Dallas defense, they're sitting at 29th overall in EPA per play allowed and 19th overall in success rate allowed. So not looking good for the Dallas defense. They played a little bit better against Jaden Daniels last week, but you know what? I think that was just I have a lot of comments about that, but I'll keep them to myself because we would open up a whole can of worms here on the show. But I still think that Dallas defense is not good. The Giants is not great by any means, but they're not horrible. So they're capable of making plays. They're capable of rushing the passer. They played man coverage about 30% of the time here. I think they're going to send the house to Cooper Rush and get after it and create some turnovers here and there. And so I think that's why the Giants actually keep it close. Now, will Tommy DeVito and company be able to pace it on the offensive side of the ball? I don't know. But I think it's going to be a lot lower scoring game than people realize. It's going to be ugly. I don't think the Cowboys are going to take over the game like a lot of people think. I do like the Giants to keep it close, but I like the Cowboys to win. They don't break their against the spread trend here, but they do get a win. So
this is the 4:30 game, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
You know how the Cowboys have the sunlight or the sun setting? It's just going to be whoever is facing the glare at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we have there.
Yeah.
Terrible idea.
And these offenses are similar, Now the numbers are skewed in every which way. How much of it is Dak Prescott and Daniel Jones? How much of it is the two backups? But you look at it, they're very similar in a lot of ways. Dallas offense, 23rd overall in EPA per play, 18th overall in success rate. New York Giants offense, 25th overall in EPA per play and 17th overall in success rate. So not a bad gig. I mean, we know what the Cowboys can do. They like to throw the ball a lot. I mean, just 2 games ago, they gave Cooper Rush 40-plus attempts. So they're not afraid to throw the ball. But I think the Giants defense can, keep up. I think they'll let loose a couple big plays. Both teams still have some playmakers. But that being said, it's going to be ugly. Nothing out of the norm. Cowboys win. Giants cover. Any last thoughts here, Beach?
But that's the middle game. I can take my nap.
Yeah, perfect timing. They really planned that right.
Perfect.
So
they did.
It was a shame that this game ended up being what it is. We could have had Dak Prescott and Daniel Jones. I mean, people shit on Daniel Jones, and maybe it was his time to go, but it certainly would have provided a lot better matchup than what we're going to get on Thursday. So,
yep.
All right, man. Hey, that wraps it up for the Thanksgiving slate. We will be back. We're going to have another show subsequently after this talking about the Sunday games, so make sure to tune in for that as well. We appreciate you guys. Happy Thanksgiving.